Let's talk about a fascinating topic: how to build willpower. Most people are unaware of this, but there is a brain structure called the mid-cingulate cortex. It might sound like a complicated name, but it's essential to understand it. We could call it the Cookie Monster, but the most interesting thing about this brain area is that there is a significant amount of data in humans showing something impressive. When people do something they don't want to do, like adding 3 hours of exercise per day or per week, or when they try to resist eating something while on a diet, this area of the brain expands. The crucial point here is not just to add more work, but to add more work that you don't want to do. This effort triggers the growth of the mid-cingulate cortex. What's especially interesting is that this area is smaller in obese people, but grows when they diet. It's larger in athletes, and becomes even larger in people who see themselves as challenged and overcome those challenges. In individuals who live a long time, this area maintains its size. Scientists are beginning to think of the mid-cingulate cortex not just as one of the centers of willpower, but possibly as the center of the will to live. When I learned about the mid-cingulate cortex, I was extremely excited. I was already familiar with the fear associated with the amygdala and the planning and action associated with the prefrontal cortex. But the data on the mid-cingulate cortex surprised me. All the data points to the fact that we can develop this area, but if we don't continue to invest in difficult tasks that we don't want to do, this area shrinks again. It's almost like we have to face something we hate, like a cold water bath. If you hate cold water, get into it and put your head under water. Your mid-cingulate cortex grows. But if the next day you no longer feel that discomfort, it shrinks again. This is one of the most important discoveries in neuroscience. Doing something you don't want to do, but doing it anyway, promotes the growth of this brain area. A friend of mine, sober for 30 years from alcohol, says that the problem with addiction is that the cure only works one day at a time. You have to renew it daily. For the mid-cingulate cortex, the logic is similar. You must constantly challenge yourself with things you don't want to do. People tell me I have incredible willpower, but that's not a gift. It's something that is built. It develops over years, decades of continuous suffering and overcoming. Understanding and cultivating the mid-cingulate cortex might be one of the keys to developing solid willpower. So, when facing your daily challenges, remember that each effort, each step outside your comfort zone, is literally shaping and strengthening this crucial part of your brain. Over time, this practice can transform into the willpower that many admire and think is an innate gift, but in reality, it is the result of continuous and intentional construction. Anything difficult in life, once overcome, is like being a prisoner of war who finally breaks free. How many prisoners of war do you know who want to return to the prison camp? When something in life is extremely bad, most people don't want to go back. They are happy to have overcome it. I realized that I am the same. I don't want to go back. But I need to go back, because it is exactly there where all the knowledge of my life is, exactly what we are discussing now. I didn't know anything about this, but how I developed willpower was by constantly doing these things. So now, it's just life. I wake up, and while it is still hard, it's just life. I don't think, oh my God, like I have days when I don't want to do it, but I know I will. I know this from years of just doing it, so it's beautiful. Human beings need to hear this. They need to stop listening to these quick tricks about this and that. There is no hack for life, no shortcut. To develop this strength, how do you do it? By doing and doing and doing and doing. That is the hack. The hack is going to be incredibly hard, and that's when I realized it. That's why I wanted to come here today. I didn't want to come here to talk about passion and purpose and how to get out of bed and how to set the alarm and all these cliches, because that's not how I lived. I woke up like every human being does and thought, man, I suck today. How is this going to work for me? And you fight against it. There's no off button. It's the conversation in your head. How do you do this? We don't have enough conversations about the real talk that every human being is having and has no idea how to get out of, but they have to. You have to build your willpower. Well, I feel like knowing the name of something, the mid-cingulate cortex, doesn't fundamentally change who we are. But one thing I like about biology is that willpower, if someone feels they don't have it, seems like something other people have. But everyone, unless they have brain damage, like a hole in their head, has two mid-cingulate cortices, one on each side of the brain. Everyone has one, has two. So, I feel it's just a matter of opening the portal. And the portal, again, I will repeat 10 times and forgive me, is that people think, oh, I do hard things, I do sets to failure, and then I do forced reps. I love weight training. I love doing sets to failure. I even like forced reps. But guess what? I like forced reps, so I'll tell you, they don't develop my mid-cingulate cortex. Because I like doing that. Anything you enjoy doing won't improve this aspect of willpower. And it seems so obvious once you hear it, you kind of think, oh yeah, sure. But I think you really close that loop for people when you share what you're sharing today and what you've shared at other times as well, when you're trying to explain that friction is the critical ingredient. And I think people think, oh, if it's effort, then I'm improving, that's part of it. It's necessary but not sufficient, as we say in science. But the hard part, the haunting part, the challenge, these are the really nasty terms. The challenge, the friction, being haunted, is the hard part that grows this mid-cingulate cortex. Now you know why so many people fail to find their purpose in life, their direction? Because to grow this, although you may not look like me or live my daily life, it's a choice people have to make in life. But what's so funny about this is that even the richest of the rich, who have everything, always ask me this. I feel like I'm missing something. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. I don't have what you have. But you will never hear me say that I'm missing something. And everyone else is. They are missing that feeling. I found it a long time ago, and I found it right there in that willpower thing. When you are nothing, and turn into something like me, you call it happiness, peace, whatever you want to call it. But I discovered something. That's why you'll never hear me say, I'm missing something. I found it years ago. You find it in suffering, and you find it repeatedly in suffering, to the point where you know exactly who you are. Most people are missing something because they don't know who they are, never examined themselves, never did that experiment with themselves. The lab rat, we are all lab rats. But you are also the scientist. You create yourself. Most people are missing something because so much is trapped inside them. I don't even want to say potential. I think that word is overused too. There is so much in you that God, or whoever you believe in, or if you are an atheist, in you, that you haven't unlocked, that you walk around with this wonderful wife or amazing husband and all this money. You think, man, I feel like I'm missing something. Yes, because about 75% of you is still trapped inside, still chained, because you just didn't want to find your willpower, didn't want to find your soul, your will, your heart, your determination, your guts, your courage, and how that looks. It looks scary, like the little scary lab I entered, scary. Waking up every day and saying, I am stupid, but I want to find a way to be smarter, instead of saying, man, I just can't do this. So you limit this box, so your box becomes so small of things you can do. My box wasn't even a box, it was like a little hole. And then, by examining myself, gaining some willpower, some courage, it became bigger than this table. But that's what we all do, and that's why I wanted to come here today and talk to you about real things. Not about any kind of trick. There are no tricks. It's you versus you versus you. And if you don't understand that, you have a real problem. But if you don't understand what I'm saying now, the problem is you, and you don't want to fix it. In Stoicism, a philosophy that emphasizes the importance of facing adversities with resilience and wisdom, the Stoics believed that we must accept what we cannot control and focus on our own inner development, seeing challenges as opportunities for personal growth. As we mentioned in the video, Stoicism teaches us that it is in discomfort and adversity that we find our true potential, cultivating the willpower and courage to overcome obstacles and achieve success. This Stoic approach transforms every difficulty into a step towards excellence, reinforcing the idea that true strength comes from persistence, and continuous action, even in the face of adversity. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more motivational content. And activate the bell so you don't miss any new videos. Together, we can turn challenges into successes. See you next time. Let's continue this journey of growth and overcoming. Thank you for watching, and remember, you have the power to change your life, one challenge at a time. See you later.